Siomra Beag.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sure Look, Sure Listen, the podcast taking a pop at culture. Sure Look, Sure Listen.
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 Sure look, sure listen. Oh my gosh, Benjamin, you've changed the tagline there very subtly. I don't know if you even realised it.
I didn't.
But sure, look, Ben, we don't have the time or the energy or even the inclination to talk about that because we've loads to cover this week, including, but not limited to, scrolling up the running order so I can see it. And, Ben, scroll up the running order, I can't see it. Scroll it up. There we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck, you've made me be glib at the start when we had to do bad news first. Including, Ben, the death of Nichelle Nicols, one of the icons of pop culture. We're also having a look at DC, who've culled all of their stuff, Ben. They've gone, get rid of it. We don't want to put it in the bin. You've seen the trailer of a new film, The Banshees of Inisherin, which I've never heard of, but I'm intrigued to find out more about. And, collectively, between the two of us, and by which I mean me, have seen Prey and Sandman.
Listen, Michael, if that wasn't enough,
yes,
there's a little bit more to be done this week. It's the week of Dublin Comic Con this week, Michael. As we speak, Michael.
Yes.
As we speak, there's a bunch of people roaming around the convention centre in Dublin, buying various knickknacks from fandoms and having a wonderful time.
Yes.
And so we decided we'd take a look at the history of cosplay.
Oh, yeah, two related things.
Two related things.
Very good, Benjamin. Let's start with the grim and sad. Ben, it's not that grim or sad news. Nichelle Nicols has died, Ben. She had a good innings, though.
Yes, she was 90, Michael.
She was going to be 90 this year. I don't know if she quite made it to 90, but she was at least 89,
Michael.
89. But Benjamin,
Yes.
I mean, she's left behind a very strong legacy, hasn't she?
Michael, if you were ever to look back at something and say, I don't know if I achieved much, I don't know if I got much done while I was alive, Michael, this is a case of, you fucking smashed it, Nichelle.
Yeah, you're probably doing all right there. And almost entirely through one show, Ben, as well.
Yeah, but that one show led on to pretty massive things, Michael. So she was Lieutenant Uhura in the original Star Trek with Gene and the boys. And
Do you mean Gene Roddenberry?
yes, Gene Roddenberry and the boys.
Okay, all right, yeah. Star Trek with Gene and the Boys was the original name. They decided not to go with it.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. Less catchy.
Gene and the Boys Race the Stars. That's what it was going to be called, and they decided against it. But come here to me, Michael. Lieutenant Uhura was a pretty iconic character. Probably the largest, or sorry, the most major representation of black people in television at that point.
And women.
And women.
Yeah.
Did both. So much so, Michael, that, and TV back then, it wasn't easy, Michael.
It wasn't, no. Hard going.
Hard going. An old slog, as some might say. So much so that she was going to quit after the first year of the TV show. And what stopped her, Michael, was a letter from Martin Luther bloody King.
Himself.
So Martin Luther King said to her, "Oh no, I watch it every week with my family, and what you're doing is very important." And I have to say that must be the first attempt of fans trying to control the media that they consume.
Martin Luther King was the first example of toxic fandom, is what Ben Colopy is saying on this show.
Hashtag not my Uhura.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. So what we were looking at there, Michael. So she came back and she continued to do the show, and that progressed, bit by bit, and there was more and more, pushing of the segregated American boundary, because they shared with William Shatner, which is unfortunate for her because it was William Shatner, but they shared the first interracial kiss on screen, Michael.
Apparently, though, at William Shatner's insistence, Ben.
Oh.
So, as much as he might be a bad bloke, I personally believe, Ben, that William Shatner just wanted to kiss anyone on screen. He didn't care what colour they were.
I don't think it was a stand for civil rights so much as...
Yeah. I don't think he was necessarily what we would in modern terms call an ally. He just wanted to give someone a big kiss.
He just wanted to give Nichelle Nicols a big kiss, and this was his chance. He wanted that from the start of the show.
Oh yeah, we've lessened that now. Very good.
Very good. But it was a hugely significant moment nonetheless, regardless of Mr. Shatner's lechery.
No, it's regardless. That's how it's pronounced
Regardless.
now. Yeah, regardless.
Regardless of Mr. Shatner's lechery. But she also went on, Michael, and it would be poor of us not to mention this. She went on to work with NASA, Michael, and was largely responsible for the huge recruitment drive of young women into NASA.
I'm telling you, Ben, legacy all over the place.
Like, Nichelle Nicols, fair fucks to you.
Fair fucks to her, Ben. She's dead now, obviously.
Now, but fucking
Legacy. Fucking smashed it. Benjamin.
Yeah.
Fair fucking smashed it. Benjamin,
Fucking
speaking of fucking smashing it, DC have just smashed their entire release schedule for the next couple of years.
Yeah. In non-Australian vernacular, Michael, they've actually smashed it.
They've smashed it, yeah. They've smashed it up like with a lump hammer.
With a lump hammer, Michael. It's a messy job. My goodness. So, I guess this is the Ezra Miller conundrum. I don't know.
I don't know, Ben, if this has anything to do with Ezra Miller. The fanosphere, Ben, is we've got a particular listener to the show. I'm not going to say his name because I don't actually know where he gets a lot of his information. I don't want to reveal just in case it's inside information. But it's madness what's happening in DC at the moment. It's just constant chopping and changing and rumours and power plays and politics, and this is going to be more interesting than any of the films they make.
Yeah, someone's going to make like a Warner Brothers Succession style TV show. That's going to be the thing that finally saves them. They just, do you know what, Michael? They're not making enough money, I think, is the first issue. I think they're probably comparing themselves to big old Marvel over yonder, and wondering why the model isn't the same. And it's very simple. You're not putting in the work, lads.
Well, I don't think it's that they're not putting in the work. It's just that they've clearly never had confidence in what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
So if they keep changing direction all the time, and this is another change of direction, and I'm sure they're sitting there in the ivory towers at Warner Brothers Discovery, HBO Central, or whatever it's called now, going, that's it, lads, we've figured it out. Bonuses for everybody. But have they, Ben?
They haven't, though. See,
the word on the street, Ben, and by the street I mean the internet, is that the whole thing is being rebooted with Black Adam.
So is Black Adam going ahead then?
Black Adam is absolutely going ahead. It's coming out on my birthday, Ben.
Oh, so we'll go see it then.
We'll go see it on my birthday. You can buy me a ticket.
Yes, I'll buy a ticket for your birthday.
Benjamin, I've lost my voice slightly from screaming at Comic-Con yesterday. I'm just going to have to try and clear my throat a bit to try and get my voice back. Hold on a second. Bear with me. It's not great podcasting. You spin your wheels about Black Adam.
No, that's been my wheels about Black Adam, Michael. Black Adam is an interesting one. We've talked about it on the podcast before, Michael. It's looking like a return to the Zack Snyderdom a little bit.
A little bit, Ben.
Zack Snyder with a peppering of actual humour.
So what they're going for, I think, is Black Adam is going to be their Iron Man.
Oh, God.
And they're going to restart with Black Adam, and they're going to hang the thing around him, with rumours saying, Ben, that Black Adam won't be really their Iron Man, but more their Thanos. Black Adam's going to be the big baddie of phase 1 of the new DCEU.
I mean, don't...
They're such dumbasses.
This is really bad.
Figure it out, lads. Come on, please.
So does that mean that The Rock is going to be a villain then?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So it's the first time they've kind of broken from type. I suppose any Black Adam fans, not that I know if there are many, but, any Black Adam fans will be delighted because in the comics he's a villain.
Benjamin, I've never met a Black Adam fan in my life.
I've never, both you and I, Michael, are probably Black Adam fanless.
Benjamin, the biggest victim of the cull, the DC cull, the direct cull, was undoubtedly the movie Batgirl, which you were really excited for. I
actually was excited for the Batgirl film. I thought it was going to be quite good. It was,
I was doing a big joke.
So your bit's falling down there. I think it was a cool. So hang on, let me get my thoughts clear here.
Go on, get your thoughts clear, Ben.
I think Batgirl could have been a very interesting film. I think Batgirl could have been a slightly important film in terms of defining a new tone for it. Brendan Fraser was going to be in it, Michael.
He's in everything these days.
Yeah, I know, but he was going to be in this, and I was going to watch it because he was in it.
Yeah, very good.
So the it was co-directed by two gentlemen, Michael, Bilal Fallah and Adil El Arbi.
They're from Miss Marvel.
They're from Miss Marvel. Very good. So those two lads were going to be the lads doing Batgirl, and they're gutted by the announcement that it's just been dropped because their film is made, Michael.
It's finished, Ben. It's finished.
It's a finished film. It just doesn't have a distributor.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be able to keep the film because it's a property that belongs to Warner Brothers.
Yeah. And Benjamin, there's rumours are swirling again on the street, and by street I mean the internet, about why this has been cancelled. And the story that Warner Brothers are putting forward, which is a mad thing to say, is it's just no use.
Is that true, though?
I don't know, Ben, because Warner Brothers will put out some shite.
Some shite, Michael.
So how bad must this be for them to say, no, we can't do that?
I just don't see that being the case, Michael. I don't see it being that bad. But
I've had reviews, Ben. I've read reviews that said it was like a bad episode of a CW TV show.
Oh, well, maybe then it's just shite.
That's the word on the street.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting.
Very interesting indeed, Ben. There's other rumours, of course, that DC have a new... I don't know how much to believe this, Ben, because, you know, culture wars... Although the culture wars seem to be dying down a little bit. But there are rumours that DC has a new head honcho, Ben, who's less woke. And he's taken the attitude of go woke, get broke. Is that it?
Oh, woke, go broke, I think, is...
Yeah.
Use the same verb
broke.
twice.
Well, anyway, what he's saying, one of the things he is alleged to be promoting is bring back Batman as a man, as the star. Bring back Superman as a man, not a teen girl Superman, not a teen girl Batman. That's what people want.
It's so interesting to me that, you know, it's that classic kind of straw man thing. They're trying to take away our male Batman. It's like, no, they're not. Batman is still easily your most popular character. Superman, close second. Nobody has turned away from Batman or Superman.
Haven't they, though, Ben? There hasn't been a Superman film since Man of Steel.
Superman's
Henry Cavill has been on that hook since what, 2010?
Yeah.
Henry Cavill has been Superman nearly as long as Chris Hemsworth has been Thor.
That's true, actually.
And how many? We've had 3 Thor films, and you could argue that we've had 4 Thor films and 4 Avengers films where he's a major player.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. And Henry Cavill in that time has had Superman, which people didn't really love, Batman vs Superman, which people actively disliked, and Justice League, which most people haven't even seen.
I haven't seen it yet either. I still haven't seen Justice League. I still haven't seen Justice League.
If there's one film that will come along and sort it all out, it's Ezra Miller's The Flash.
Yes, definitely. Thank God in that actor, Michael, they found a wonderful, wonderful, solid, stable role model for children.
A real Robert Downey Jr. comeback story. Except in this story, the Robert Downey Jr. character kidnapped a minor and ran off.
Yeah, and now apparently goes everywhere in a full bulletproof vest, and he now openly carries a weapon.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, brilliant. That's someone having a mental
good,
breakdown.
That's what you want. So that film's not happening either, Michael.
No, it's not. They can't can that, Ben. If they can that,
they are going to can that, Michael. They cannot stand by that film.
If they can The Flash, Ben, I will do a challenge on the podcast of your deciding.
Okay, fair enough. I would get you to shave your head, but it's a bit late for that.
It's a bit late, Benjamin. I'm follically challenged.
You're follically challenged. I'll get you. You might end up doing a cosplay at next year's Comic-Con that you might not like.
Oh, good.
So we'll see how that goes. But come here to me. I don't know if Ezra Miller's going to shoot someone before this film comes out, Michael. I don't know I don't know why. I've never seen a man more actively try and ruin what was a very promising career.
I don't think Ezra Miller identifies as a man, Ben.
Hey, I've never seen a person who so actively tries to ruin what was their promising career.
Yeah. Well, you can. Loads. Edward Furlong.
Oh, yeah, okay, well, that's fair.
Yeah, that's Robert Downey Jr. famously.
Robert Downey Jr. did fine by the end.
Yeah, after a couple of stints in jail and rehab.
Yeah, well, hopefully Ezra gets the rehab he needs and then we never see him again. Bad egg.
Anyway, Ben.
There's a few other minor victims there, Michael. Harley Quinn has been axed, the animated TV show, which is quite nice. It's quite a good show. It's a shame to see that go.
Yeah. I mean, I can't stand by that over that as a fact, Ben, because some of these things are probably still swirling around. But it certainly seems to be that Harley Quinn season 3 has been axed despite being made.
Yeah, so very strange.
And then there have been a couple of lesser
strange.
ones as well, Ben. I don't think anyone's mourning terribly if Titans is getting axed.
Titans is a weird thing that has survived for no reason.
Yeah, I thought it was one of the stronger efforts. It was a move away from the CW style DC storytelling to a bit more DC storytelling.
Yeah. Okay.
It felt more like a DC show than a CW show about DC heroes. Benjamin.
Yes.
Not everything is super heroics though and sadness.
Thank God.
Some things are just common or garden sadness.
Yeah. Common garden Irish sadness, Michael.
There you go. Nice deep intake
Sorry.
of breath.
Took me a second. It was very sad, Michael. I had to take a moment to compose myself and get ready for this sad news. So, Michael, come here to me.
Right, what is it? I'm
I've got a
listening.
thought
I'm here.
experiment for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Close your eyes. Very good, Michael. Now, imagine
Yes.
that you were doing this podcast not with a run-of-the-mill Irishman like myself. Yes.
Ben, this isn't going to be like that sexy scene in Fleabag, is it?
No, it's not. No, you're safe.
Okay, good. All right,
You're
good.
safe. There's no sexy Fleabag scenes here.
Okay, good.
Close your
Right,
eyes
yeah,
then,
I'm
Michael.
imagining.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Now imagine you didn't do this podcast with a run-of-the-mill Irishman like myself,
Yeah.
and that you actually did this podcast with absolutely class Irish representation, Colin Farrell.
Yeah, I was thinking of Colin Farrell, Bell, even before you said him.
Yeah, very good. But it turns out, Michael, that Colin Farrell
Yeah, the penguin.
loves to talk shite.
I think he does,
Right.
yeah.
Now, what I mean by that, Michael, is any old shite. Not waffle, just any old shite. Like what your goat was doing that afternoon. Or, you know, how long it took him to get on the bus the other day. Or,
Oh, yeah.
rather than focus on the DC cull, he might talk to you about how it was mad yesterday, how it rained for 15 minutes, and then it was sunny for 10 minutes, and then it rained again for 15 minutes, which made almost an hour's worth of, you know, mad weather.
Benjamin, I know lots of people like that.
I know, Michael. And so does Brendan Gleeson in the new film The Banshees of Inisherin, because Colin Farrell plays that exact character, and Brendan Gleeson's had enough of him.
That sounds great. You've hooked me, Ben.
I've hooked you. Martin McDonagh, Michael, has created a new dark Irish island film. That's what I call it, because that's all Martin McDonagh does.
Did he do The Guard, Ben?
Martin McDonagh, who's now dating Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Michael,
Is he?
from Fleabag. So there you go. You had an odd
coincidence?
little coincidence. But Martin McDonagh, Michael, makes a gosh, Ireland is a dark and grim place, isn't it? Kind of film.
Did he do The Guard, Ben?
He didn't do The Guard, Michael, but he did do In Bruges.
Oh, he did In Bruges. Okay, that's not
did In
actually set in
Bruges.
Ireland, though.
But it's got two Irish fellas who are dark and grim.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's two grim, dark Irish fellas. So, Michael, this is no different. This is set, I think, at the turn of the 20th century. It looks to be about that time on one of the islands off the coast there, Inisherin, which is a bit like the Aran Islands, I
Is
suppose.
it fictional, Ben?
It's a fictional Irish island,
very
but it's
good.
meant to be an Inisherin or an Inishone or an Inishboffin.
Any of the Inishes.
And Michael, poor old Colin Farrell is very confused because one day he turns up to the pub
Yes.
and his best friend doesn't want to sit with him anymore.
Oh, no.
What kicks off, Michael, by the looks of the trailer, we can't say for certain, but what kicks off is a kind of an island-wide scandal
Go on.
where the two best friends who have been best friends since they were kids no longer want to hang out, and one of them has took this decision, Brendan Gleeson.
Right.
And poor old Colin Farrell is left in the dark, and he's like, why is this happening? I don't understand.
Ah. I wonder what's happened.
Yeah. So that's a very unusual thing, Michael.
Go on.
And that's the kind of central crux of it. All the lads are there, Michael. Bloody Colin Farrell, Donald Gleeson, Pat Short's in it,
Pat Short.
and Barry Keoghan.
Ah, good old Bazza.
What's
he doing on the island?
They're all there, Michael.
Is
the
Barry
lads.
Keoghan playing a shifty little fucker, is he?
He's like
course
a
he is.
shifty little fucker.
Of course he
by
is,
the looks
yeah.
of the trailer. So it gets very dark, Michael, in the sense that from the trailer we gather that so committed is Brendan Gleeson to this end of friendship that Colin Farrell keeps trying to talk to him, and he comes up with a very sinister self-punishment for this. He turns around to Colin Farrell at one point in the film and he says, right, for every time you talk to me, I
Yes.
have a shears in my house. I'm
Oh,
going
Jesus.
to take that shears and cut off one of my fingers.
Oh,
Every
Jesus.
time you talk to me. Now, Michael, that might seem like an unusual punishment, but it's a very clever social punishment because on the island, Brendan Gleeson is the best damn fiddle player around.
Oh, no.
And Michael, this is at the turn of the century, and there's no bloody telly on the island.
There's no internet.
There's no internet.
There's no season 3 of Harley Quinn.
There's no season 3 of Harley Quinn. There's no Ezra Miller Scandal Watch.
They're not going to get the Flash.
We're not going to get the Flash, Michael. So that becomes a huge social threat. It's dark, it's grim, it's odd looking. I'm going to watch the fuck out of it, Michael. It's going to be an In Bruges style Bantosaurus Rex. I'm here for it.
All right, you'll be absolutely sending it. Benjamin,
Absolutely sending it, Michael.
you'll be absolutely sending it, Ben. I've got a little action figure of Barry Keoghan looking at me saying, don't call me a shifty little fucker. Benjamin, I tell you what.
Slap.
Give me a little slap on the head. Ben, I tell you what though, have you seen the cast for, speaking of Irishman's boss, and this is apropos of nothing, Ben. This
Right.
isn't on our
I love
running order.
these. These are great. I'm so prepared.
Have you seen the cast of Cassian Andor, the new Star Wars show?
No.
Doesn't matter, don't look it up. But literally all 3 female leads are Irish women boss.
Why?
Why? Just everyone's Irish in it. Not the characters, the actors. It's just full of Irish actors.
There's no Irishmen to space.
No, there's
They
no.
are.
Yeah, look at that. Isn't that great?
Genevieve O'Reilly. Fiona Shaw.
Yeah, Fiona Shaw's back in space.
Back in space.
Yeah.
Denise Goff. Is she one of us?
We'll have to watch it, Ben, and just to support I can't
Support
say
the
that.
Irish ladies.
We'll have to support the Irish woman's boss.
Genevieve O'Reilly is an Australian-Irish actress. She is known
Everyone's
for her
Irish.
work in the Star Wars franchises. Mon Mothma. Terrible
Yeah.
name.
It's a great name, Ben. Mon Mothma. She's one of the resistance leaders. Benjamin, speaking of, we met very briefly Dominique McGelliot yesterday.
Who's that?
I tell you, that's Queen Maeve, speaking of Irish women's boss.
Out of town.
Unrecognisable, Ben. Walked right past her.
Oh, that's mad.
It's acting for you. It's acting. It's just mad
Acting.
how much
Very
acting
good
they
stuff.
can do. They're always changing their looks.
Did you get a chance to chat to her? No, you didn't get her on camera, no?
No, Ben. We were too busy.
You're very busy. Very
We were
busy.
too busy
Michael.
meeting the people, the cosplayers.
Because players, the real heroes of Comic-Con, so to speak.
Exactly, Ben.
Very
Benjamin,
good. Yeah.
speaking of the real heroes, I've seen the film Prey. Have you seen it?
Haven't, Michael, but I hear my dog's in it.
Your dog is in it, Ben, and he good old Bowie has a main role in it. It's
Look this up.
yeah, look it up, Ben. There's a dog in the film Prey. Ben, Prey is on. What's it on? Is it on Netflix, Amazon Prime?
It's still Bowie.
It's very
It's on-
Bowie.
Yeah, it's on Prime, I think. I can't remember
think it's
which
on-
one. Oh, it's on
No,
Disney
it's on
Plus,
Disney.
actually.
It's on Disney Plus, yeah, because
Yeah.
Predator was Fox and Disney bought Fox, so that makes sense. Ben, it's the latest in the Predator film series. One of your favourite film series is the film series.
I'm
The
obsessed,
Predator.
Michael.
Absolutely obsessed with it. You're always saying, just cast James Franco. He's a notorious predator.
He'd be the best one. He's always hunting young ones down in city centres. It's a whole
He'd
thing.
be an absolutely incredible predator. Ben, Prey is the latest Predator film. I can't remember who's directed it, which is terrible podcasting. You look that up for us there while I
Look that
spin
up
my
for you
wheels.
there now, Michael.
And it's set in the 1710s, Ben.
1710,
It's set in the
Michael.
1710s, Ben, in the olden times, in the Cherokee Nation.
It's Dan Trachtenberg, by the way.
Dan Trachtenberg, of course it is. I knew it was Dan Trachtenberg. And Dan Trachtenberg has directed the film Prey, Ben, which is a predator film set in the Cherokee Nation in the 1710s. So we have a film which has received incredible praise, Ben,
Yes.
in for want of a better term, the media.
Yeah. The
And-
media.
And I have to tell you, I have a bit of a dichotomy because even though it is incredibly well shot,
Right.
with decent special effects and an
Pretty good.
okay twist on the kind of predator concept,
Yeah.
I did not like it one little tiny bit.
No.
Yeah. So will we get into it a little bit?
Yeah, let's do some spoilers here. Listen away now, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't want to hear about how Native Americans fought predators.
Exactly, because that's exactly what's going on. Native Americans, Ben, and French fur trappers.
Well, they did fight predators, didn't they, Michael? It was called White People from England.
Oh, did you write this, Ben?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Did you write this film? Because that's pretty much the story. So,
Good.
my main issue with this, Ben, is unfortunately, no, hold on. Let's start with the positives. Ben, the wilderness of wherever this was shot in Canada looks fabulous.
Well, that's good.
Looks absolutely great. And as a Predator fan, Ben, and by a Predator fan, I don't mean a fan of the concept of Predators. I mean the film Predator.
It's the original Predator film.
Yes. This feels, in terms of that, the closest to that. It hasn't
That's
lost
damn
its...
good.
Exactly, Ben. It hasn't lost its way and become a mad sci-fi spectacular about, who jumped on the spaceship in the new Predator at the end? I can't even remember who was in
Brody?
it. No, Adrian Brody was in Predators, which was close enough to the Predator concept. I'm talking about the most recent one with Olivia Munn.
Oh, I have no idea.
I can't even remember who the male star was. Was it Joel Kinnaman? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But in terms of a Predator film, this is the closest in concept and tone to the original, because it's a predator hunting people and the people having to come up with a way to try and fight back against it in a forest, and that's what's going on. What I didn't like about it, though, Ben, is it has, unfortunately, a flawless protagonist.
Oh, no.
It has an absolutely flawless protagonist, Ben. So the protagonist, I didn't catch her name, unfortunately. It might be something like Sassia or something, but she's played by one of your favourites and one of mine, Ben, Amber Midthunder.
Yeah.
You'll remember her from Legion, Ben.
Oh, she was excellent in Legion, Michael.
Where she played the character who shared the body with the old scientist man.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was great in Legion, man, and she's the lead in this. But unfortunately, it suffers from what we have heard in the past. It's not a Mary Sue situation, because it's not someone has inserted and idealised themselves into a story. She's just the perfect person. She's the best at traditional medicine. She's better than her mother, who taught her traditional medicine. She's the best at hunting. She's the best at tracking. She's the best at noticing stuff. She's the best at throwing axes. She's the best at firing arrows. She is the best at recognizing that the predator is there. No one else believes her.
Okay.
Ever. And then, big spoilers coming now, Ben. In the end, she just beats the predator.
Oh, okay.
Not through an act of desperation. She both outsmarts it and physically beats it up.
That doesn't make any sense, Michael.
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, Ben. It's one of the most nonsensical endings of a film I've ever seen. By way of... Look, that's my main problem with the entire film. The only lesson that is learned in this film is everyone else learns that she was the best all along and they should have been listening to her.
She was the best around. Nothing was ever going to keep her down.
Nothing, not even keep her down, Ben, but even temporarily put her down, because she's utterly invincible.
Invincible.
She beats up a predator, Ben. This Amber Midthunder is a tiny little lady. I'd say she's probably 50 to 55 kilos, if even. And there's a scene where she jumps on a predator's back and stabs it multiple times. And the predator grabs her, throws her off, and she lands, rolls, gets back up and runs back into hand-to-hand combat with the predator.
That doesn't make any sense.
Benjamin, this is the same predator that killed a bear with its bare hands 20 minutes earlier. Have you ever seen Avengers, Loki? Loki, you're not Loki, you're Ben. Have you ever seen Avengers, Ben?
You've just given away
what I was going to say.
Back to Asgard, and it's
No, Ben. Ben, have you ever seen Avengers?
yeah.
Do you remember when Hulk grabbed Loki?
Yeah.
that's probably what a fight should be like between a 50-kilo woman and a predator.
Yeah, that's.
But she outsmarts him. She outfights him. She out-agile. It's incredible how one-sided this film is and how flawless the protagonist is. And it really did annoy me. And I was watching it going, this can't... Predator fans can't be enjoying this. Because, Ben, if you remember the first Predator film...
I do. I remember it well.
The joy and the thrill, in my opinion, of the first Predator film was you got these super masculine, like massive, oily, muscular dudes, and what's his name? The writer of Iron Man 3. No,
Shane Black.
Shane Black. So you get all these super massive, masculine, oiled up killing machines and Shane Black. And they go into a rebel encampment with incredibly overpowered weapons and machismo. And someone says, hey, you're bleeding. And he says, I ain't got time to bleed. Do you remember that, Ben?
I remember that. That was great, Michael. Pure machismo.
Pure, unadulterated 80s machismo. And the great twist of Predator is that pure, unadulterated 80s machismo is what gets them killed.
Yes. Because they charge in, guns a-blazing.
Yeah, and they're like, if it bleeds, we can kill it. And it's like, can you though? Because now there's a big hole in you. Yeah, there's a big, huge hole in you. And they get absolutely humbled.
Yeah.
They get absolutely taken down. Their technology means nothing. Their muscles mean nothing. Their camaraderie means nothing. If you remember Billy, the other Native American character in Predator
franchise,
he tries to use honor to fight it.
That doesn't go very well for him.
That doesn't work. And then massive mountain of a man, who's actually not that big in real life, but in Hollywood in the 80s, mountain of a man, Arnold Schwarzenegger, can't fight it. He is humbled by the size and strength and terror of this thing and has to resort to desperation and hiding and sneaking and just about ekes out a victory.
Just about, though.
Just about.
He's to be real sneaky.
He does. And, you know, he ends it in a terrible position. He's not a hero at the end of that. He's a mess just about surviving. And that's what's incredible about the first Predator film. But in this film, the main character is the best at medicine, the best at hunting, and no one believes her. If this followed the logic of the first film, she would find out that all of her traps and her things don't work and she has to squeak out to survive. But everything she plans works perfectly.
No, but that's shite.
It was so disappointing. And I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who felt this way about it, but it was... Yeah, I mean, it's nearly a horror film from the Predator's perspective. Because she's so dangerous.
It's the prey that's finally beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, it's odd. It's really weird. It just made me want to watch Predator again.
Oh, let's go. Well, let's do a Predator rewatch at some point. We'll do an exhumed episode on Predator.
Oh yeah, very good. Point. Still, Ben, it still might be the second best Predator film.
That's something.
Yeah, but I can't see Predator fans liking it.
I forgot the last Shane Black Predator thing. That had loads of weird stuff in it, didn't it?
No, Shane Black didn't make that, did he?
I don't know.
I can't remember who made that.
I remember not going to see it.
That was weird. It was dreadful. It was dreadful.
Yeah, it wasn't a good film.
No, it was dreadful. And Predators, I don't know. I would argue that Predators was better than this, but this is a better made film.
Okay. Predators wasn't a bad film, but this is a better made film, and it's
a better made film, but I mean, infuriating to watch as a Predator fan.
As a Predator fan.
Yeah.
Michael, you just missed the big oily boys.
I miss the big oily boys, but I also miss the fact that their big oiliness and their macho-ness and their big, huge machine guns all end up meaning nothing.
I think that's a very good analysis, Michael. I'd never considered it from that perspective. I'm quite taken with your analysis.
You see what I'm saying?
That.
Anyway, look, it's well made. It's very competently made. I don't think it'll stand the test of time because the antagonist is just too flawless and never in any real danger.
There's going to be 6 more films by the end of the week that'll bury it in the
The
in
mire.
snowdrift that is current movie making.
They won't be, Benjamin, any DC films, though.
No, those are gone. Those are all
Speaking of
finished.
DC, though, Ben,
Yes,
I always forget that Sandman is a DC comic.
it is. It's a Vertigo comic, Michael.
Was it DC
Vertigo.
originally? Did it move to Vertigo?
No, it was Vertigo from the beginning.
I tell you what,
So-
though, it was in the DC universe in the first couple of episodes.
Which one?
The comic, Sandman.
Oh yeah, Sandman pops up every once in a while. Well, the DC universe was in the comic. I don't know necessarily. It got very confusing when it came to whether the Endless actually inhabited that world. And yeah. Anyway, sorry, that's a confusing place for us to start, Michael. So. Michael, Sandman is widely regarded as one of the best comics of all time. I think we can comfortably say that.
Yes, I'm comfortable saying that.
You're comfortable saying that. Good. Excellent.
I'm comfortable saying that, yes. You were looking at me there as if you were waiting for me to agree, but yes, I do
was
agree.
waiting for you to agree, Michael. That's how the podcast works. You back up
Yeah,
my
I do agree,
statements
yeah.
and
I do agree,
argue with
yeah,
the
I
ones
do
you
agree.
don't like.
I do
So,
agree, yeah.
It became one of these all-time comics, mainly because it's so fucking original in certain places and so wonderfully written in others. Neil Gaiman really smashed it out of the park, Michael. Arguably,
Yes, go on.
Neil Gaiman is an unusual man who wrote his magnum opus in his early career as,
Oh well, he did American Gods. That's been very well received.
he's done some huge things, but I don't think he'll ever reach the height of Sandman. Again.
Interesting.
Like, Sandman is the comic, Michael, that, people put on their syllabus at universities and stuff, and whenever you want someone to take comics seriously, you go, well, I mean, there's Sandman.
Yeah, you can watch Sandman. Have you ever heard of Watchmen?
I mean, you've got that one as well, Michael, but Sandman is really the one that all the cool kids were like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, this is a good one. So another reason that it's kind of famous, Michael, is it's fucking mental.
It's mad shit going on non-stop.
Sandman centers around Morpheus, who's a big old scary dream god. And we can't even really call him a god, Michael, because he's something else entirely. He's an endless.
He's beyond a god, Ben.
He's beyond a god, Michael. He's an abstract concept given form. And, one of the debates that has always raged is, it should be a movie. And then people have obviously said, it can't be a movie. That's not how this works. It's too
Doesn't make
big.
sense.
It's too broad. The scope is huge. How would we make it a movie? And there's been lots of attempts, Michael, at bringing it to a more modern audience outside of comic books, which I still don't understand. But anyway, so one of the things that was brought out on Audible about 2 years ago now was the audio play
Yes.
for Sandman. And for me, it was fucking awful. I tried to listen to it and I was just like, this is very bad.
Okay, very hard to listen to.
This is very hard to listen to, very unenjoyable. They had an all-star cast. It was pretty good, but I couldn't do it. And then, Michael, we found out last year that Netflix has gotten their hands on the rights to it. And
They've made it a TV show.
Since then, Michael, my sphincter has tightened because
Go on.
Netflix, as we've covered on this podcast before, does not make a good superhero show. They're not good they're not good with comic adaptations.
But Benjamin,
Yes.
like your Titan Sphincter, but Benjamin, Sandman isn't exactly a superhero show, is it?
It isn't really, Michael. It's an abstract concept kind of show.
And I have watched episode 1 of Sandman, Ben, and although I would say it is quite slow going, at least initially, and that's what our Discord, Ben, hop up on our Discord there. There's a good
On our
bit
Discord,
of chat,
ladies and gentlemen.
good bit of chat going on, Ben, and as some of the people on our Discord, including good friend of the podcast, Nine Wassies, said they were slightly underwhelmed by the early going of Sandman.
Yeah.
But apparently it does pick up later on and really start getting into the meat and veg of the weirdness.
Oh, well, that's good, Michael. We'd like a bit
Which
of
is
weirdness, wouldn't we?
Very exciting, Ben. But I've only seen episode 1 so far because we've been busy. We've been at Dublin Comic Con, Ben. I've lost my voice.
We've been very busy, Michael. That's why we've got a squeaky little voice. Tell me more about episode 1.
It's very faithful, Ben.
Yes, it's a very faithful adaptation.
It's a very faithful adaptation. And the comic book fans, Ben, if you're listening now, comic book fans, I've got something to tell you. Make up your minds if you want faithful or not. Because one of the things I've seen people complaining about this is it's quite faithful to the comic. And I'm like, yeah, I know, yeah. That's good, isn't it? Like,
Why
no.
would you complain about that?
Because sometimes, Ben, being too faithful, people complain about it. And if you're not faithful enough, people complain about it.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's called, Benjamin, it's called the Watchmen/Steel dichotomy.
Steel.
Remember Steel,
I don't
Ben?
know if that movie should be used for anything, but okay,
Yeah,
fair
well,
enough.
because it wasn't very faithful to the comic, is what I'm going for.
Yes, that's what
And
you're getting at. I see.
Watchmen was too faithful, they said, Ben. But I quite enjoyed it. It's slow going for sure. But it's got lots of nice creepy imagery, Ben. It's got your favourite character introduced early, the Corinthian,
Ooh.
who I know
love
you
the
auditioned
Corinthian.
for.
I did. They wouldn't let me have him.
Yeah, they said, no, sorry, we're going to go with CG. We don't want a man who actually has mouths for eyeballs.
I was like, but I was born for this role. And they were like, no, sorry.
So you're not going to have it. And Benjamin, it's good. It's well cast. It's got Charles Dance in it, your favourite.
Oh, Charles Dance. Who's he playing?
He's playing the kind of the mythological, not mythological, the culty guy who captures Dream at the start.
Oh, he's like the Aleister Crowley knockoff.
Aleister Crowley, that's who I was trying to think of. He's playing the Aleister Crowley style Lord character who captures him in the beginning. Nice. And I quite liked it. I honestly quite liked it. The CG is really good.
It
looks
good
expensive.
because it would need to be.
It looks like Sandman. It uses that kind of... Remember a few years ago, Ben, there was a kind of trend on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook where people would make videos where through kind of low quality grainy images it would take on a kind of dream-like quality where you'd be looking at something and it would morph into a bin and then... Remember those? The opening sequences feel kind of inspired by that. Where one of Dream's ravens is flying through the dreaming, and it's incredible the way it kind of swaps from an ocean to a beach to the sky to some clouds through not camera trickery CG, but it feels very dreamlike, and it feels
50 dreamy boys.
Exactly, and it fills me with a lot of hope for the series, Ben.
That's good, Michael. I'm glad that's a very positive review, Michael. I was worried when I glanced upon the Discord there that it was going to be rubbish because there was quite a little bit of consternation.
The main, I mean, the internet seems to love it, Ben. The main thing I'm seeing is a little bit of people thinking it's a bit underwhelming. And that might be the fault of it being too close an adaptation.
But it's a slow burn comic, Michael. Volume 1 of the... Yeah. We've spoken about this at length. Volume 1 of the actual comic is quite dull. It's a slow-paced thing, Benjamin, and there wouldn't be any aggressive action to it.
When we recommend Sandman to people, the comic, we often recommend that they start with Volume 2.
Go to Volume 2.
And you can go back and catch up on Volume 1 if you want when you've got a sense of the characters. But yeah, it's interesting. Good stuff. I like it so far. I'm going to watch the rest of it. It's got its hooks into me.
Do you like it enough that you might dress up as it next year at Comic-Con?
Benjamin, I see what you've done. Benjamin, I have unfortunately made a commitment.
What commitment have you made?
Benjamin, there's a growing Warhammer 40,000 cosplay community attending Comic-Cons in Ireland. And I have made a commitment that next year I'm going to be a demon host.
You're a demon host? Which one?
Trubiel, Ben, one of your favourites. So, Trubiel's mostly in the nude and very muscular, Ben. So I've got a bloody trying... I'm going to have a very trying year in front of me. No more beers for me, Ben.
It's going to be a lot of dieting, a lot of dehydration techniques to get you ready to play.
A lot of dehydration, a lot of skipping past security and hoping they don't notice quite how nude I am.
Who's going to be your Gregor Eisenhorn?
I don't know, Benjamin. We have remember Without a Stitch cosplay?
Yes.
She's doing a gender-bent Gregor Eisenhorn.
That'd be good.
Yeah, so, and then there's, Crafty Nathan Creations, Ben. He's a good egg.
The name rings a bell.
You would know him, Ben. You'd know him from Comic Cons in Ireland, and he's done an incredible Tech Priest of Mars. This is getting a bit very nerdy. This feels even nerdier than our usual podcast, Ben.
It's okay.
Yeah. So that's luckily, Benjamin, I've got the paleness.
You do.
I've got the baldness, and I've got the kind of overall general shape. Plus a couple of kilos. But we can sort that out closer to the day, Ben. Dehydration, that's why diurolites were invented.
Yeah, just to keep you going without having to...
Just dehydrate the shit out of myself, Ben. I'll be like a crispy bacon rasher on the day.
And you look amazing, Michael. Look amazing. I look forward to seeing it.
Isn't that the most important thing about cosplaying, Ben? To look amazing through endless suffering.
That's it. That's all it is. That's what Comic-Cons are, as far as I can see, Michael. But yeah. So, Michael, naturally, the Dublin Comic-Con, as we mentioned earlier on in the episode, is on this very weekend that we're recording, and we have been faithful attendees. Well, some of us have been faithful attendees.
Yeah.
I haven't bothered my Swiss.
You're a bit hit and miss, Ben. I'm
a bit hit and miss, Michael. But we went and we took a look, and we did a video, and that'll be coming up soon, ladies and gentlemen. So keep an eye on the YouTube channels and the socials.
Keep an eye on them.
You'll be seeing some content spilling out of those soon enough. But we decided, Michael, we're going to take a look at the history of cosplay.
Where does it come from?
Where does this fucking stuff come from, huh?
What's going on? Why are all those adult people spending so much time dressing up as characters?
Michael, you made a very witty observation. You said it must be Star Trek. Must be.
It has to be Star Trek. Everything is always Star Trek.
Everything is always Star Trek. But actually, Michael, in this case, the history of cosplay has a really fun kind of... Well, not fun. It's never fun to have weird cultural colonial roots in anything. But it's got quite an interesting little background here, Michael.
Go on, Ben. I'd love to hear it.
It's a bit of a debate, Michael. A lot of people, a lot of cosplay purists, Michael, will tell you that cosplay is a Japanese invention.
Well, certainly the word is.
Right? Yeah, so it's a portmanteau from a couple of different things. But costume play is the original phrase, and then it became cosplay because we gave it a little clipping. We brought it down. But the thing itself comes from the 1980s, and Japanese manga buffs who loved their favorite characters from the Japanese comics would dress up and kind of mimic the playstyle of the characters that they liked the most. And
what do you mean mimic the playstyle, Ben? What does that mean?
So one of the things... So we see a lot of costumes and fancy dress and stuff like that is nothing new, Michael. If we were to look at it in a broader scope and say, cosplay is just fancy dress, it's not. There's a few things that distinguish it, and there's quite a bit of research that's been done on this, Michael. I spent my week reading various academic books, which I really wish I hadn't.
Yeah. You got real deep in there.
I got real deep in there, Michael, and one of the books that was actually very, very good and very, very helpful was written by a woman called Frenchie Lunning.
Oh yeah. Is that her real name?
That's her real name.
Was she in Greece? Was she in the film Grease?
She should be with a name like that. But she wrote a book called Cosplay: The Fictional Mode of Existence.
Oh.
And she has a very useful quote in it, Michael. And I'm very pleased because now I get to have quotes in Collecting Issues, the bi-weekly comic book club, and I get to bring quotes into our messy podcast, Sure Look, Sure Listen.
Benjamin, I hate quotes. I fucking hate them. You know I do.
Anyway, so when writing about something that she calls the goal in cosplay, she writes,
Benjamin,
yeah,
I want to hear this in the voice of Frenchie Lunning.
All right, fair enough. I'm going to do it in a French voice because the name is there. Is not to produce and perform a character to take part in a theatrical narrative designed for an audience to view, but for an individual fan subject to embody and identify with an adored character whose persona is real for the fan, actor and or creator of the cosplay costume. The creation of the costume is as much part of the loving and community aspect-based fandom as the actual performance. This separates the cosplay costume from its roots in costume history. Done.
Oh no, we've got no more French listeners anyway, that's for sure.
Sorry, lads.
You've gotten rid of them.
So what she essentially gets at there, what Frenchie Lunning is really, really emphasizing, is the fact that to do cosplay, you embody the character as well as wear the costume. So you take on traits of the personality, and you know, in the quasi-reality of cosplaying, you pose like the character, and the photographs that you take are kind of mimicking the body language of a character or the facial expressions of a character. So it's a step further than your traditional masquerade ball. Or something like that, into a very immersive experience, Michael. And one of the other things that highly marks this out, and something that we've discovered in our own videos on cosplay, is that the quality of the costume doesn't necessarily matter. It's not about having the costume with the best material or the best, You don't have to have expert tailoring skills to take part in cosplay. You can make an attempt at a good representation of your favorite character, and as long as you're showing a good deal of attention to detail and love of the character, that's just fine in cosplay.
Benjamin, it's funny you say that, because there were a few at Comic-Con this weekend. Obviously, there's some people who are there all the time, Ben, and we know them. We see them at every Comic-Con. They really
Michael.
We know them well, and they dedicate their whole hobby time to these characters and really stay in character. What's that guy's name? Dark Knight Begins? Dark Knight Returns? You've interviewed him a few times, Ben. This weekend he was RoboCop.
Oh, class.
And he was RoboCop the whole weekend, Ben, and he was going around doing robotic movements and incredible costume, incredible amount of effort put into it, and he really played RoboCop for the con. And he has a couple of Batman costumes, and when he's there as Batman, he's Batman.
Yes.
He is absolutely Batman. But at the same time, there were people at the con yesterday who were Batman in either kind of more cheaply made homemade costumes or costumes that they'd bought. And one of my favourite images of the whole con was a very tired looking Batman with his mask off, with his two teenage daughters in the queue at the start of the Comic-Con with a fag hanging out of his mouth. And I was looking at him
Please
going,
tell me you got a picture of that.
I didn't, Ben. I'm not into taking pictures of random strangers. But it was so funny. It was just brilliant to see. There's the spectrum for you.
Yeah.
And according to one Frenchie Lonning, Ben, he would not be cosplay. He's just dressing up.
Yeah, he's just dressing up. Exactly.
He's just picked a character. He doesn't particularly care if he is Batman. He doesn't feel like he's representing Batman. He's just a dad taking his daughters for a nice day out, and he's dressed up for Batman like he's going to a fancy dress party. And he's time for a fag, Ben.
In fairness to that man, Michael, the queuing system at Comic-Cons is enough to do that to you. It'll jade you.
Benjamin, it's crazy. 20,000 people going into the Dublin Convention Centre over the space of 2 hours. It's incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Ben.
Yeah.
The other thing, though, that you've said there, did you say that their personas are real to the cosplayer?
Quite often, yeah. Or not necessarily real in the sense that the person is delusional to the point of believing that something is, true or false. But it's more looked upon as the fact that the persona is a real life model for the person playing the character. And by that, I mean, it's an aspirational goal, or it's something that the character, or something that the cosplayer identifies with, believes in. Almost if you were to take, I don't know, a life philosophy from the character, and it's become a very concrete thing for cosplayers. Does that make sense?
All right, but Ben, yeah, but I that next year at Comic-Con, I'm dressing up as like ancient evil demon spawn that has possessed a man and become this gross S&M daddy.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. You've got me there. Oh, that's the most you've ever hurt me with a single word, Ben. I'm shook to the very core now.
So now, Michael, in a more modern sense, I think what Frenchie Lunning is trying to get at there is the depth of passion that certain cosplay creators have. And Dark Knight Returns, as you've rightly pointed out, he's an immersive cosplayer. He is Batman for the purposes of the cons when he's dressed as Batman, and he's RoboCop when he's dressed as RoboCop. And there's a certain level of dedication there, a whole embodying of a character. But that's not the same for everybody, Michael. Sometimes it's just enough to kind of stan your favorite creation. And one of the places that this gets really, really interesting is it's caused a kind of, what we deal with when we look at this is a real spectrum of people, as you pointed out. There are people who dedicate like a year of their life to making one costume, and there are people who throw a costume together, say, a podcast co-host who has to interview people and is told to be Billy Butcher and then gets his long coat and a Hawaiian shirt of some
Billy
kind.
Butcher costume.
Yeah.
That was a great Billy Butcher costume.
Do you know what? I think we were too far ahead of the Billy Butcher hype. If we had done it a year later, it would have been fine.
Absolutely incredible.
But we did a Billy Butcher right when... right before the boys took off.
Just on the cusp.
As a show.
Just on the cusp.
It's a real shame.
We were pioneers, Ben.
It's a real shame. But anyway, you've hit the nail on the head. You talked about the con. Cons are where cosplay have kind of grown into their own, and that's become a huge thing. But the actual origins of cosplay are quite difficult to pin down. In the early 20th century, we have who is now argued to be one of the first Comic Cons that ever happened, and it wasn't really a Comic Con, was in the 1880s, Michael.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So if we're looking at the modern Comic-Con format, in the 1880s, there was a comic strip in newspapers called Golden Hours.
Okay.
And Golden Hours was a comic strip exclusively for children. But Golden Hours decided to create an annual gathering of fans of the comic.
Get out of here.
And in the 1880s, they even got a celebrity guest. So P.T. Barnum,
Barnum from the circus,
was the special guest at the first Golden Hours comic appreciation convention.
He was the Donal Logue. He was the TV
was
and
the
films Donal Logue. That's incredible.
Of the time. So this is the earliest known example of that. But they didn't really take off from that point on. They didn't really grow from there at all. But that's, as a cultural starting point, that's one of them. And then what we saw after that, Michael, is in the late 1800s and early 1900s, what we saw were masquerade balls. They became a huge kind of thing where you would dress up with masks and costumes, and you would attend these kind of fun soirees where you would dress in things that you wouldn't normally be part of. And what we have there is
like a sexy bee, Ben.
Yeah, so a lot of those characters would be, I suppose you might have sexy cat ladies, you might have sexy things, but they weren't based on any particular property, if that makes sense.
A sexy bee.
Yeah, so but we do have in 1908 the first example of two cosplayers who are directly paying homage to popular culture of the time, sci-fi and fantasy. So in 1908, there was a couple called Mr. and Mrs. Fell, and they attended a masquerade party dressed as characters from a popular newspaper strip at the time. It was Magalax of Mars, if I'm saying that correctly.
Magalax of Mars, one of my favourites.
So Magalax of Mars was a weird little comic strip, as you might have guessed, about a spaceman in the thing.
Go on.
But this couple turned up in Cincinnati in 1908 as characters from that comic strip, and they went around and people would say, "Oh, that's so unique. What's this?" And they'd be like, "It's from our favorite comic strip." So that became a little sensation because
everyone went, Ben, nerds.
The newspaper that the comic strip came from heard about this and got them to pose, and so they're the first documented cosplay couple.
That's fabulous stuff, Ben.
Yeah, it's really good. But where this really took off, Michael, and the first thing you said to me, Michael, when you were talking about it was, "I bet it's Star Trek."
I bet it's Star Trek, Ben. It's always Star Trek. Those Star Trek nerds are always putting on Star Trek uniforms.
Yeah. So SDCC, the original SDCC happened, Michael, in 1970. That's San Diego Comic-Con for anyone that's wondering what that is, if they're not a super nerd like we are. And they only had 170 attendees, Michael.
Incredible.
Yeah, very, very small. Looking at the multi-million-dollar operation it is today, incredible that at one point it only had 170
small beginnings,
attendees.
Ben.
Small beginnings, Michael. And, there was a little bit of cosplay, but it was primarily for Star Trek.
Of course it was.
And you're absolutely correct. But where you'd be wrong, Michael, is that's not where the craze cemented itself. Believe it or not, a little while after that, a very popular film would come out.
Star Wars. It's going to be Star Wars.
No,
Jaws. The film Jaws.
No.
There was 170 people dressed as Quint.
It was 170 people dressed as Quint.
They thought it was cosplay. It was just sailors. It was just sailors
who were trying to get over their PTSD by confronting the shark. No, Michael, in 1975, the Rocky Horror Picture Show comes out.
I thought you were going to say Rocky.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show comes out in 1975, Michael. And they encourage people to dress up as characters from the show.
Frank Infurter.
Bloody, I've never seen Rocky Horror Picture Show, Michael, so I don't know the characters, I'm afraid.
Richard O'Brien.
So
the actor Richard O'Brien.
This happens and it explodes, Michael. And these things become popular, and they're still popular today. They still do midnight screenings of the Rocky Horror Picture Show where people dress up as their favorite characters. And because of that, a very, very clever marketing campaign started for the Star Wars films when they came out in 1977.
Very cunning.
So the marketing department looked at something like the Rocky Horror Picture Show and said, that's mental. That shouldn't be making money. Why is it making money? And then they went, oh, because it's kind of an interactive experience. And then somebody said, oh, we've got a new thing about space priests and Spanish Inquisitions. And they were like, oh, that's mental. How would we market that? Oh, wait, hang on.
We give them costumes.
Give people fucking costumes. So they did the exact same thing, Michael. They encouraged repeat viewings. They encouraged that kind of thing. And so it grew from there. And then obviously Comic-Cons began to grow in size. And what we saw was the steady increase in people becoming Comic-Con fans and dressing up as guests. So by 1980, there were 5,000 attendees at San Diego Comic-Con. And
Still
today, still tiny, but a significant increase over 10 years from 170. But now, Michael, it tops out at about 150,000 guests.
Bloody heck.
For Comic-Con. I mean, exponential growth, Michael. Exponential growth, exponentially growing.
I don't know if it is exponential, Ben. I'd like to see the chart, but okay, go on.
It's probably not exponential, Michael. I'm not very good at maths, and I'm trying to make it engaging for listeners.
Okay. You weren't using exponential in the literal sense. Benjamin.
Yes.
The thing that you haven't mentioned yet, and I'm sorry if I'm stepping on your toes, but I might just steer you towards something, is every cosplayer I have met in the fair and great nation of Ireland is because of Halloween.
Yeah, that's probably a good point, Michael. So it's a natural progression for some people that didn't want to leave Halloween behind. But believe it or not, that's not really the central focus of a lot of cosplay history and cultural commentary. And the reason for that is... Go on.
Go on.
Go on.
No, you said the reason for that is, don't leave us hanging.
No, the reason for that is a lot of countries that practice Comic-Con in the extreme, or cosplay in the extreme, don't have Halloween.
Yeah. The Japanese, for example.
Michael. The Japanese, for example.
But that is very much the thing, Ben, about Ireland, because Halloween has always been huge here.
It's massive, because it's our holiday, Michael.
We invented it. We came up with it. We're not having anyone.
Ihe Hauna.
So, Ihe Hauna, Ben, where you would dress up. But in the olden days in Ireland, you would dress up as something generically spooky.
Yeah.
And your whole point was just be frightening to frighten away the spirits.
So but then
over time that developed into be spirits, so the spirits would be frightened away by spirits.
Yeah.
And then when we were kids, Ben, although there are nearly 10 years between us, when we were kids, it was be a Dracula or be a Frankenstein.
Yeah, be a Dracula.
And it was gradually becoming or a clown or a princess or whatever you want. Just be something.
Whatever you're having yourself.
But like you said, we weren't as kids representing the characters. Like if you were a princess, well, maybe if a princess you might act like a princess, or if you were a ghost you might act like a ghost. But you were playing generic things, not specific people.
Yeah.
But over time in Ireland especially, and I think this is the influence of American popular culture more than anything, dressing up as characters for Halloween has become more and more and more popular. So these days, if you go out for Halloween, you are just as likely to see a Walter White as you are to see a quote-unquote vampire. Yeah,
so the scary aspect of Halloween is largely in decline, Michael, in that sense, because I think the cultural model has been replaced by something like cosplay, or our cultural narratives have been replaced by something that has a defined visual representation. So...
Yeah. But also, I mean, you can't argue with the Americanization of it, where, we grew up watching films where Halloween was about sexy cheerleaders and sexy schoolgirls and sexy quarterbacks and
in the stabbing,
zombie quarterbacks and zombie quarterbacks.
Zombie Quarterbacks 4 is my favorite film, Michael.
But
yes.
You can see, Ben, if you go out in Halloween in Ireland, you can just see people who are dressed up and you can say, yeah, you're just a normal person and you're going to become a cosplayer.
Yes, this is the seed for you.
And it's not from the quality of the costume, it's for how much they're trying to embody the character.
Yeah, it's like, have you ever heard of bloody Dublin Comic Con?
Yeah, have you ever heard of taking it down a notch? Benjamin, I dressed up as Michael Myers for Halloween one year, probably about 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And the whole night as notorious murderer Michael Myers, I did not talk to anyone.
That's commitment to the bit on a whole new level, Michael.
Too much, Ben. Too much commitment to the bit.
Now you
but
know.
I had a flipping great time.
Yeah, you had a great time. Everyone else was like, who the fuck is that guy?
Well, is that actual Michael Myers? I thought he was taller.
Oh, I bet that hurt a little bit. There were a few tears rolling down inside the mask.
But it was inside the mask, Ben, which is exactly where the tears belong.
But ladies and gentlemen, why do you cosplay? Because we've run out of time, Michael. We don't have enough time to keep going. We've reached our hourly limit, sadly. There's more we could talk about. We haven't even touched on cosplay and social media or cosplay and technology and how that's pushed it into a whole new genre. But we will, Michael. We will.
Follow-up episode.
Say it again.
Follow-up episode.
Follow-up episode. Dun, dun, dun. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to learn more about Dublin Comic Con, you can check out the range of content that will be coming to you from Monday evening. And you'll be able to see lots of different videos of our good friend here, Michael, taking a look and chatting to various cosplayers. And good friend of the podcast, Shane, chatting to everybody as they go along. But you can let us know, did you have a good time at Dublin Comic Con this weekend? You can get in touch with us in a few different places. You can find us on the interwebs at www.seomrabeag.com, seomrabeag.com.
It means tiny room in Irish.
It does indeed. You can find us on Instagram at Sure Look, Sure Listen Podcast.
Yeah, it's always updated with the latest in pop culture news and news and excitement.
Actually will be this week, fuck you. You can also find us on Twitter at ListenSure.
Listen, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, listen was taken.
Sure Look, Sure Listen was taken. And the best way, ladies and gentlemen, to get in touch with us is to jump up on that Discord, baby.
Hop up on it like it's the 1970s disco and you're dressed up as, what's his name, John Travolta from Saturday Night Fever.
Johnny T.
Yeah, he's no use though, apparently, but look.
He's a bit of a dickbag, apparently, but sure, look, what can you do? Right, I'm off to beat up John Travolta, bye.
I don't think you can catch him, he's slippery.